Well, hello and welcome to the webinar this week. We're going to be talking about resistance and how to best deal with resistance. Everyone seems to experience some sort of resistance in our lives, whether we feel it's ourselves or we feel that it's something else causing this resistance. And so we want to talk about how to deal with the resistance. And remember that I have the chat open here. And so you can put your questions in at any time. And remember, if there isn't that many questions, then we won't go the full hour. But if there are questions, then we'll continue. So resistance, and some feel it as a resistance from a darker force, or some people feel it resistance internally as something is resisting them moving forward, continuing where they want to go. An interruption, whether it be influence that causes a separation, or it's not quite a separation. It's more of an influence that we feel disrupted all the time. Sometimes it's lethargy. Sometimes it's an internal angst. These sorts of things that we want to go here, but yet, and we're heading towards there, but there seems to be interference happening. And this interference that's happening is, again, what we call resistance. Sometimes resistance can be easily dealt with if we look at it from a point of view that's teaching us something. The biggest thing right now that we are looking at is the huge resistance towards humanity reaching higher evolution. This big resistance and discordant energy that's happening is happening so that we don't reach a state of God consciousness within ourselves. Now, this God consciousness is your birthright, everyone's birthright, to go into that higher state. But there are resistances towards that, a shifting happening. The other night we were listening to a video about light and dark, and how we don't often think of it this way, but both really want to annihilate each other. The dark wants to annihilate the light, bring everyone into the dark. And in light, we're doing the same thing. Even though we call it something different and it sounds sweeter, we really are doing the same thing. We're trying to take dark and turn it into light. But what if we could just allow each other to be each other? What if we could allow dark to be dark and light to be light? And what if there were some rules stating, you can't influence me, you can't take me over, you can't do these sorts of things to me, because I have free will. And you take a look at it, and so does the dark have free will. So instead of trying to overtake each other, what if we just allowed each other, allowed that resistance to be there, but you don't have to fight against it? Resistance ends up being fighting against something. You're fighting against something inside of you, or you're fighting against external things that you think are against you. But really, it's just at the bottom, at the end of the day, it's just you. You're playing the game of resistance, or you're entertaining resistance, when all you really need to do is turn and focus where you want to go. That resistance, dark energy, whatever, has no power over you when you turn and you look where you want to go. And in turning, looking to where you want to go and heading in that direction, you're free. And ultimately, don't we want to be free? So instead of fighting dark in this illusionary concept of victims, and what if we just stood in our own power and just walked free, right? So what do you think about that? I have the questions open here, and you can let me know what you think about it. There are times that we feel that we want to move forward, but yet it seems like it's insurmountable. The things that are trying to hold us back from doing what we want to do. But it's really not. We're giving our power over whatever we think. We're giving that idea to it. We, with this great sun that is here and here, but this sun of awareness here, that awareness shines on things and makes them more. And if you're making resistance more than your own freedom, who's doing that? We're doing that to ourselves. Right now, humanity needs to evolve. Humanity needs to come out of this level of thinking that they're being overpowered when they're really not. When we focus individually on our own future and see ourselves free, we become freer and freer, because your attention, your awareness, all your energy begins to get focused into the future, into the future and present moment of where you're going, because it's only the present moment that ever changes. This present moment as you sit in it. But using and looking at the future as where you want to go and feeling those vibrations now, you take yourself out of stagnant states. Because sometimes I've been through that, where I have been played a great part in fighting resistance. And in looking at that, I was only playing a game with myself once I got completely focused. And there are times still when I'm not focused, but I'm hard on myself in the sense to stay in a freedom, a lightness of focusing into joy and where I want to go. So again, I don't see any questions here. And someone's saying there's no chat box. So I went to the other chat box. This was the Q&A chat box. And now I'm on the other one. So if somebody would like to test the chat box and send me a question, please, then I'll know it's functioning. So I went back to the Q&A chat box. Hey, it doesn't matter, whatever. We'll go for half an hour and then we'll go if there's no questions. But as we're moving through these new, I get caught up in this. This isn't new energies. This energies has been happening. Really, we're supposed to enter into these energies oh, and we were kind of led away from it and told that we were unworthy of them, and you're very much worthy of them. So these energies have been around a long time. The more that we're waking up, the more we're pulling these energies in. It's not like these energies are coming from the outside, they're coming from the inside. You have a universe within you, and you need to get that. This universe inside of you trumps the external universe. The external everything that you're saying, it's happening inside of you. Inside of you, nothing has the right to interfere with your universe. But it's your universe and how you feel inside that is creating the external universe. Attitude, perception creates belief. So your attitude about life and your perception about life creates a belief about life. So if you want to change beliefs, start changing your attitude and your perception about who you are. And you're going to start changing your belief system really quickly. And you don't have to go in and dig up the old belief and do anything with it. You can also trump it, because all beliefs will shift and change and transmute in sight of a higher state, right? In sight of a higher belief system, a higher, more connected belief system. So they'll change as we go along. So, Violet is just showing me something here. They can also go to the link that I sent them on my page. Okay. And so play it. So we're just trying to figure this out so we can get the chat box working for you. Okay, click on. Does it take you anywhere? Okay, go back to my Facebook page. And where I sent the link. Yeah. Go back to my Facebook page again, dear. And my Facebook page. Click Dwaine Hartman. I also have the Google link there. Okay, go up. All right, well, I don't know what to say at this point. Okay, I'm getting comments, but they happen to be on. I'm just going to open up my original chat on my website. Just open up the original chat on my website, because I'm getting comments on my phone. Just give me a sec. Oh, now it's just going to update my. Um, so I'm trying to figure out right now. It had notifications. It was sending me notifications, and I was seeing the questions. And it was on YouTube, I believe. All right. Okay, so Omar is saying when others think the same things, we think what do. Okay. Well, I'm not too sure how to answer that one. There are, we are, we are a singularity, and we also are a collective at the same time. This way, think that or sometimes when we think about it, we're this singularity, and other people and what other people think uh, doesn't necessarily matter, because what we're getting into with the energies that are happening, I was saying that these energies have been here all along. We're pulling more of them in as we become more awake. It's there, we're becoming very receptive, and so these energies are coming and they're flying in. Now the same thing goes with our own ideas. We're becoming more aware all the time that it is our universe inside that is creating everything. What other people think, what other people feel about you, uh, is good when it's good, and when it's not, don't worry about it. Just keep focusing on what you're doing as far as expansion is concerned in these times. Because again, the more the energy pulls in, the more we're pulling energy in, the brighter this planet's becoming for ourselves. The more that we allow and just let go and stop fighting with things we don't like, and just stay in this energy and just start creating with it, we're going to create ourselves right out of this, the messes that we're in. Um, and what other people think, they that's up to them, because each one is an individual reality. Now, Lulu added a comment. Can you? Oh, okay, that's you. Yeah. Okay, so doesn't seem to be a chat available. I have the chat fired up, but on my end, anyway.
They can go under the video.
Yeah, you can go under the video and ask questions. Um, just ask the questions under the video. Yeah, and then they'll show up, and then Violetta can read them to me, or I can look at them. So you can ask your questions there. Other things that are happening. Well, there's more and more people coming and wanting that alignment. People come to see me to get aligned. Not that I'm some, but I do see the path within each individual person and what intricate things they may have that are hanging them up, and then I help them to free themselves. So it's a little different than little different and kind of cool because I don't go outside of your parameters. And I look within you and see what you need to do specifically for you to reach the highest vibration that you can reach at this point in time. And what happens is people enter into these states that are their very own, that have they don't have any trouble going to, because it's like they've known it their whole life. So here they are pushing against and struggling with resistance all this time, that they're not good enough and I'm not getting it. And I just have a way of explaining it to people and sharing with people and bringing it out of people, what it is that's going to take them to that level really quickly in their own specific way. And that's also what I'm going out on a tour here, it looks like, another one. But this one's going to be a training tour. Transalchemy 101 is what I'm calling it. And it's all the accumulated best stuff that I have come up with and work with people with all the time in raising vibration and maintaining their vibration and then understanding themselves. And it's going to be a certification course, 7-day certification course. I see Omar has another question here. Well, when you help yourself, Omar, you help others, because they don't. The problem is that we've lost the magic in the world. Not completely. We have lost a great deal of magic in the world. And until we actually bring it back for ourselves, then we can really help another person, because it is that feeling of magic, that things aren't as solid as you think they are, and that there are more dimensions and dimensions you can experience right here in this minute than what's going on. That freedom is what's missing. And in order for us to help anybody, we need to step into that freedom ourselves. And when we step into that freedom, then other people feel it. And it helps them a great deal more to come into their freedom. So hopefully that's answered your question, Omar. So this freedom that we're moving into, the more people light up personally and realize that they're not separate, but they're one. They're not separate from this source energy, this great energy, that they are that energy. The more that they come into that awareness, the freer and freer and freer they become. But that vibration is going out into the world, you see. And then people start coming into that freedom themselves. Maria's asking, I've known it my whole life. The energy is there, I feel it, but how do I access what will me to the next step or level? I've always shared with people that whenever we come up against a block where we know there's something more, but there seems to be a block there, simply imagine yourself on the other side of the block and describe it to me. What do you look like, sound like, and feel like on the other side of that block? As you start to do that, and you become aware of yourself on the other side of the block, and what you'll look like over there in those energies, what you'll be saying to yourself inside. Is it exciting? What would you be saying? And what would you be feeling inside? The more that you allow yourself to go there what happens is that you will attract yourself to that state, which then you realize that the block is gone. In that moment that you realize that you can see yourself on the other side of the energetic block that's been going on. You can see yourself here, feel what that's like to be over there in that higher vibe. Then the block dissolves, because that was the point of the block to begin with. And so hopefully that's helpful to you. Just looking for questions. And if anybody can share with me how to actually make this Google Hangout work so that the Q&A is actually running on here, that would be kind of cool. Well, there doesn't seem to be any more questions right now. Just remember, folks, that you can put your questions in underneath this video. For some reason, the chat isn't fired up. So, resistance and moving into the state that you want to be in. I just heard my phone go off again. Just looking for questions. Someone was just asking me on Facebook, how do I ask questions on this, and they put it on my underneath the comment on the video on Facebook, and I just said you can do it here. Oh, she finally figured it out. Okay, I have to be at a computer. I can't do it on my phone. Oh, okay. All right. I've known, okay, so that's there. Okay, so it looks like we're out of questions again. But yeah. So like I say, resistance, when we're experiencing resistance like today, here with this chat, right? The more that I find that it doesn't, if I don't let it bother me and I just keep going forward, the less I have to deal with, because of something new, having to work with a new program or a new thing. It's always, there's this thing happen where there's resistance going on, and I just keep going and look through it and smile at it and laugh about it, and we continue on. So you're seeing a real life experience right now of resistance. Oh, so Maria is saying I have to invite people to my hangout specifically. Okay. So otherwise they can't comment or question. I did send a link on my Facebook page to this hangout, but we'll have to see. So there's other ways to ask questions. Put them directly on my Facebook page if you want to, or underneath this video. Is block something that we can overcome ourselves? Yes. As you listened to me talk to you and you started to think about that self that's already beyond the uh, the block, you already started to feel what that would feel like. And a lot of people don't realize that that's the shift right there. Is when we move consciousness, our awareness beyond the block, that and start feeling what that feels like to be beyond the block, then you're already doing it. You're already going beyond it. The resistance has lost. Okay, and we can make distant friends with resistance, but we don't have to have it inside of us. And the more that we realize we don't have to have it inside of us, that we can just move our awareness beyond it. You want to go to higher dimensions and experience higher dimensions of yourself. All you have to do is start thinking about what what you look like in the higher dimension. What you look like, what you feel like, what you sound like, the vibration of you in that higher dimension. The thing that is that you start copying that as soon as you start bringing it up. But a lot of people will say, "Oh, but that's just my imagination." And that's what they want you to think. They want you to think that your imagination is nothing, right? Because then you can't get out of here, or you can't shift anything, or you can't change anything. The truth is that your imagination is the portal that takes you into other experiences of self. And it's not just your imagination. The thing that is that you'd have never rode a bike if you didn't imagine what it would be like to ride a bicycle. Um, and the same thing goes with that's how you pre-practice actually doing something. And pre-practicing going into higher dimensions is only beneficial. Now, from perspective, looking at your thinking process here or how you feel or whatever, from that point, you'll see how easy it is. Because when you go to a higher state of you, you'll start to giggle. You'll start to laugh because you're free. And you're free because you set yourself free. And you'll realize that, oh my goodness, I didn't need to go through all of that. All I had to do was just imagine and start to feel what it would be like on the other side of it. So it's like storytelling. Somebody tells you a story, somebody reads you a story book. Your mind goes to that place and you start to experience that story. All you're doing is writing a story for you. All you're doing is writing a new story. You're seeing it, experiencing it, and the more that you focus on that, the more the mirror neurons begin to pick up what it is that's like for you, and you start transitioning to it. It's like a magnet, and it draws you there. Well, um, Omar saying that he didn't give in to resistance, but he has seen many turn into clones. Yeah, it's a fun thing, I guess you could call it, uh, to not end up just being another clone, saying the same things and repeating the same things in anything that we do, um, out of fear. But one has to do it. One has to speak what's in your heart. One has to speak from the point of what's just naturally right and wrong. Um, we know what's right and wrong inside of us. We know what's right and what's wrong, and we know that we don't need to experience a lot of what's going on in the world, and we need to just focus our mind. Um, but there are a lot that will clone, basically, and give people what they want rather than what's truth. Um, and that, to me, is a clone, turning into just a person that gives entertainment instead of challenging people, instead of discovering something new in people, um, and to not be just a clone, right? There's lots of really exciting things you could talk about, whether they're real or unreal, but so why would we do that? There's lots of exciting things. It's wonderful to talk about exciting things. I was in I was in online radio for a long time, and doing those every week, uh, I remember falling into a clone-like state where I was just repeating what everybody else was repeating on the net and doing the same things. And I never got, uh, you know what I mean? That wasn't fulfilling. But it wasn't until I come back and said, okay, that's enough. I'm not just going to put something to put it out. I'm not going to just put out something to have something every week. It's got to have something to it, to me, right? And so I experienced what that was like to be. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, Omar, but just a regurgitating kind of clone, giving the same things all the time. But that was my experience of it, and to come out of that and say, okay, enough of that. I got to talk about what's really happening inside humans, and within all of us, and what we can do about it. Um, Bijou Betty is saying that how do we maintain when, say, for instance, with the elections, and the group is fluctuating, and going through whatever in the collective, how do we avoid getting caught up in all that? When I look into future events, I see there is more resistance in store. Okay, here's an interesting kind of thing that happens. Um, Here's an interesting thing that kind of happens is that when we're in a specific event like this that we don't like, we focus on it and we end up recreating it. And this is where we come into the fact that we are creating everything within our own universe inside of ourselves. And that you have every right to go higher. Once you go higher, then you'll be able to see it from another point of view. The fact that you're seeing more resistance coming, well, that's kind of manifesting it. So that you're seeing more resistance in store uh, is is creating itself, and that, if we're going to say that's what they're counting, the resistance is counting on, is more people seeing into the future in fear, that see they're manifesting themselves. You see, they're creating an angst in society so that you are concerned about that, so that you manifest it. So be the one that goes inside yourself and says, I'm freer than this. I'm freer than all of this, and go higher. And from that higher place, know that you be influenced or touched from that place. And when you do that, more and more people around you can do that. The more you talk about that, you see, and when we look into the future and we see only one target, uh, we've lost imagination to the fact that really, when we stand in the present moment, there's multiple realities out in front of us, multiple choices. And we lose that multiple choice and come into one hypnotized state that says this is the only reality. That's dangerous, because look at the outcome of that. And you back engineer it and realize who created that. And you don't need to create anything for them. Let them create their own. And so by supporting it through our emotion and our fear, we in creating that for them. And that's what they want. They don't want you to think by yourself and say, hey, I can create what I want. In my universe, all of a sudden, everything is turning out. I'm seeing less and less and less resistance and more freedom. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to think about that. They want you to continuously think that this is a downward spiral and it's getting worse. All of it. And you and I and anyone else doesn't want that to happen. You have every right. You have every right to manifest and to create your own reality. And nothing has the right to stop that. You don't have to fight resistance. You just have to move forward. The collective is doing what it's doing. You need to just float out of that and let the collective do what it wants to do, right? You take care of you, and you'll be surprised how many people you'll influence for them to take care of themselves. We all start popping out of this influence, and we're going to be back into a reality again with a lot more freedom. But as we sit here in fear, we're actually helping them create more and more what we want. And believe me, you don't want it. But you have the choice to float out and create something else amidst this chaos that's going on. Well, that's it for questions tonight. And I'll try to get this figured out more, so I have such a glitch, or I might end up just going back to the city Monday nights and doing it from the city, from the broadcaster. So thank you everyone for coming out, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Blessings to you all, and just remember that you're the creator of your own reality. It's a feeling inside of you. And that feeling can shift from being in fear to being expansive in a state of love. And I double dog dare you to go out and start to experience the expansiveness that's happening. As these energies increase, yes, you're going to see more influx and more resistance trying, but it's already done. We've already moved beyond it. And all you're seeing is the last kind of kicks that happen. when a collective decides to ascend and move on. So blessings to you. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.